Hey. It's been 2 weeks. We didn't do a podcast last week because we were busy. And anyway, it's Jake and John here, the Jake and John Show, world's greatest podcast. Say hello to my brother Jake.
What's up, everybody?
And today we're going to talk about all kinds of shit. But I want to clear something up here. You know, sometimes we joke around in here, we have fun, we talk some shit, but really, it's locker room talk. We're not proud of it, but it happens, and it's going to keep happening. So don't read too deep into it. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, so in our last episode, we did talk about how we were going to be going to the Renaissance Festival, and we went. Unfortunately, we went the same day, but I left as you were getting there. So we didn't get to hang out, but that's a whole different story. But anyway, so I went, and me and Milady, let me tip my fedora, we went by ourselves. It was romantic, and she had gotten me tickets for the King's Feast. And the King's Feast is a special ordeal. It's like $100 a ticket or something like that. And so we get there at 11 o'clock, and we go in and sit down, and it's in, I guess you could call it a pavilion. But it's an enclosed tavern that has a bunch of open doors. So it looks badass, and it fucking smells great in there, aside from the body odor and shit coming from people dressed like fucking Vikings and God knows what else. But it's fun. So we had a good table, and we sat in the back there, and the way it works is, it's 2 hours long, so every 20 minutes, I think, they bring out a different dish. And then they also bring you wine and beer. Like, they started off with some kind of medieval-looking salad, and then they bring you appetizers, potatoes and chicken. It's very, very medieval-looking food, but it's good shit. And so all that shit was good. And then the whole time that it's going on, there's a stage in front of everybody. It's kind of the centerpiece in the room. And there's these three girls up there, and they're dressed like, I guess, tavern wenches, is that what you call it? They got their tits hanging out, kind of, not fully nude, obviously, but lots of cleavage, and they're dancing and singing medieval songs, but they kept, this Katy Perry beat kept going on, that do. I don't know the fucking name of the song, but they were doing, like, medieval lyrics to that song and redoing it and all this shit. And it was a great time, and we were having fun, laughing, and but it was funny because they called up people from the audience. You know how they do that shit?
Yeah.
And they got these three guys out of the crowd. It was like some big fat guy. He was dressed like Barney Rubble or some shit. I don't know. And some other guy who just had like a mediocre costume that was forgettable. And then this other dude who was more of the G-string barbarian type. And they had them up on stage, and they were trying to sexy dance on him and kiss on him and shit, and jamming their faces into their tits. And it was kind of awkward because you could see at least two of them had girlfriends or wives with them, and you could see the looks on their faces like, bitch,
yeah.
You know? So it was funny, though. It wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't as eventful as I thought it was going to be, but it was still a great time because I was with Milady, and it was cool, though. But anyway, so get past that shit. So we get out of there, and we go to get our first official beers. We had been sipping wine and drinking beer while we were in there, but you know, we wanted to get the fucking big cups. So we go out, and this is weird, man. This is a weird thing. Because, okay, there's I don't know how to say this without sounding like a fucking moron. There was a lot of homosexuals and transgender people there, right? And maybe it's just because I'm more educated now on that kind of stuff, just because, I don't know, social media is 2016. It's everywhere, right? Who cares, right? But I noticed it more. And so, my girl went to go to the restroom, and I was getting our drinks. And so I'm standing in line, and there's probably 2 or 3 people in front of me, and there's like a roof over us, like a patio, and to my right there's a bench, and there's these 2 guys sitting on it, and one of them is dressed like Captain Jack Sparrow, I guess, and the other one is just wearing regular street clothes. And the weirdest conversation was taking place. The guy in the street clothes was having some kind of emotional breakdown, and it was clear that he was a gay man. And he was saying stuff like, he was like, even though I'm gay, you're still my best friend, and like, you love me, man, and we hang out and stuff. And then the guy would respond to him in character, like with a a Captain Jack Sparrow accent. You know? And I was like, are these guys, are they fucking around? What the fuck is going on here? Are they insane? And so I'm sitting there for, it's probably a good 3 or 4 minutes, just super uncomfortable listening to these two guys, you know, and then the gay man drapes his arm over Captain Jack Sparrow. He's like, man, I love you, man. And honestly, let's be honest, his accent was a really super gay accent. It was very gay. I can't do it that well, but, it was really uncomfortable for me. And so we got our beers, got the fuck out of there, and we saw some cool shit, man. Really great costumes, and, some of the plays are good, like, that was the Dead Bob Show.
Yeah.
Like, he's got an executioner mask on, right? And then he's a ventriloquist, and he has a skeleton in his hand. It's Dead Bob.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
something like that. He had a good show, and we didn't watch the whole thing. We just kind of stood there for a minute and then walked on, because I've seen it like 10 fucking times before.
Yeah.
But overall, it was good, but somewhat uneventful, because when I went there before, I think it's probably because the times before when I've been there, I've been completely fucking trashed. And so I interacted with way more fucking weirdos. But this time, I don't know, I had a light buzz going on, but we had to drive. So, you know, I didn't want to fucking have more than a few beers. So it was fun. But, before I forget, I wore my Man-O-War shirt. And fucking, dude, you wouldn't believe how many compliments I got on that fucking thing, dude. Women, men, fucking teenagers, like, Man-O-War, hell and kill, all this shit, and I'm like, hell.
Oh, dude, well, yeah, that's a badass shirt, man. Oh, I wanted to ask you one more thing about the King's Feast. So you had mentioned, did they end up having like some kind of game or anything going on in there?
Oh, yeah, I'd mentioned that last time. So I looked on the website, and I thought it was some kind of game where you spin the king's wheel or something, and it lands on something, and you have to do a thing. But that didn't happen that I saw or that I recognized. But we were sitting in the back on an elevated bench, so we could kind of see what was going on. And then for anything that was actually going on in there, it was crowd participation. It was basically the people in the first 3 or 4 rows. But as far as I could tell, they were just grabbing people and putting them up on the stage. Pardon me. But yeah, it was fun, man. But you went also that day, right?
Yeah, we went. We took the kids, and we spent a lot of time over in the kids area, you know, playing the little games and stuff like that. One thing that was cool was we had a friend in town from Venezuela, and she was getting to experience the Renaissance Festival for her first time, obviously. So yeah, it was cool that she was able to go and had like a really good time there. And speaking of her, I got a chance to sit down with her one evening, and we got to talk about Venezuela and what her life's like there. And I'm gonna talk about this on another podcast, because I want to give it the time it deserves. She talked a lot about what it's like living in a true socialist regime and the kind of things that go on there. But at any rate, yeah, the Renaissance Festival was cool. Like I said, we spent a lot of time playing kids games and playing around. Are you familiar with the I think it's the King's Garden over there? Have you even been on that before? Yeah, we went and we walked all through that thing. You know, that was super cool. They actually have a kind of a stage set up back there now where they do some shows. It wasn't going on when we walked through there, but it was kind of cool. There's just some kind of like living fountain chick or something that does something back there. So maybe one time we go back. But yeah, it was fairly uneventful. You know, we stayed for the fireworks, hung out, played some games, and went home. But yeah, it was a good time, man, as always.
Did you notice as you were walking through the crowds? Because when I was there, man, I mean, I don't know how to tell by eye, but if I had to guess, there was 100,000 people there. I'm not fucking kidding, man. It was,
I don't know how many people were there. I know that it does seem like the crowds have gotten larger over the years. I mean, there was a lot of people there that day. I think I saw something on Facebook they had posted that they had like their largest day ever. And I want to say it was like in the 70,000s or something like that. I don't remember for sure, but yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot bigger than it used to be. I mean, just the amount of people and even the festival itself, like there's a lot more buildings now. Did you notice that? There's like tons of new shit in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was huge, and it was definitely packed. The whole arena was completely packed during the fireworks. I mean, all the way back. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if there was a good, 60,000+ people there. I have no idea, but it was, yeah, they're definitely making some cash out there.
Yeah, but, and as I mentioned before, there was a lot of transgender people there, and that was something that was, I don't know, like I've seen transgender people in person before. It's whatever, who gives a fuck, but it was just like surprising to me because, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I thought this. I just didn't assume that they were into like medieval shit and Renaissance shit and fucking, you see people dressed up in Star Wars garb and like all, just that kind of Comic-Con shit. But I was wrong, man, because there was a lot of fucking transgender people there where it was clear what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't notice that much at all. But like I said, we spent almost all our time over in the kid area, so it's primarily like parents and children over there hanging out, riding elephants and shit like that.
Oh, I went to the henna tattoo place. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
You get the henna tattoo, and it usually stays on for about 2 weeks. So I went in there, and I was like, I want the most fucking satanic fucking thing you got. And he's like, well, all we got's like, like fucking dragons and fairies and shit. And I was like, well, can you just do something if I ask you to do it? And he was like, yeah, I guess. And I was like, all right, I want you to put a pentagram on my forehead and then put 666 like all around it. He was like, dude, he was like, well, the thing with that is like, it does something and the sweat gets involved. But the issue is what really happens is once you get it on there and you follow the directions, put the lemon juice on it, and it takes about an hour, that motherfucker is not coming off. And so people are fucking doing crazy shit like that and then going to work on Monday and they can't fucking go because they got to some crazy shit on their face.
Yeah, sure. How long do they last? Like a week or something like that?
It's like up to 14 days.
Oh,
and
shit,
so
yeah.
I'm like, all right, whatever, man. Just put them on each one of my hands, give me a pentagram, and put like some 666.
Be like fucking Glenn Benton out there.
Yeah. And so he did it. And we got home. And I was thinking, I'll just fucking scrub these off with some Dawn soap and like one of those green scrubby pad things.
Did you not know what a henna tattoo was before you went in? Did you not realize the like longevity of these things?
Yeah, no, I had an idea, but I just figured if I used an agitator or something, I could get it off. Right?
Okay.
And so I get home and I'm scrubbing the fuck out of these things and nothing is happening. And I tried for probably 2 or 3 hours. And I was like, all right, this is fucked up. I can't go to fucking work like this. We got customers coming. Not just customers, like my coworkers. But
so was this beer induced or was this just a...
Nah, I mean, I had my Manowar shirt on. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, hail Satan. I was just like having fun. I just wanted to do it. And so anyway, I tried all this shit to get it off and I couldn't get it off, man. And what it came down to is my girl's got one of those, like, what are they called? It's like a foot scrubber thing, and it's like the coral reef. I don't know. What is that?
Like the lava shit, the pumice or pumice or whatever the fuck you say.
Yeah. It was like one of those. So I got one of those with fucking Dawn soap, and I'm scrubbing my hands, and I had to scrub them. You can still see like some of the fucking like sores and fucking like dry skin and shit.
Well, yeah, because you get into those stones, you're literally like sanding your hands off.
Yeah, and I had to use that, and it took probably a half hour for each hand, and I had to use a razor blade. Not just a straight razor blade. Like I took a razor and I had to like shave my skin off to get it off. But the thing is when I got done doing it, you could still see like a really red and somewhat bloody fucking pentagram and 666s, so it looked even worse. And, but by the next day, I had roughed it up enough to where it just looked like I'd been, doing rough yard work or something like that. So I got rid of it. But anyway, I think the point I'm trying to make here is definitely don't get that shit on your face or your hands if you got to go to fucking work the next day. Anywhere that they're going to see at work, don't fucking do
Dude,
that
I wish that guy would have had poor judgment and would have put that shit on your forehead.
I know, dude, me too. In a way, I do. But, I'm glad he didn't because I would have had a fucking bloody forehead.
Yeah, he fucking did you a solid there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool though, man. There's, I'm trying to think, it was basically uneventful for the most part. It wasn't like some of the times we've been before, but again, I think that excessive alcohol consumption is the key component there. It's what makes things happen when you start talking to fucking weirdos and shit. Cause I did have some weirdos approach me about my shirt or just whatever. And I had a really fucking legit Captain Jack Sparrow guy talk to me for a few minutes, and I was like, okay, that's cool, man. But then it gets kind of weird, if you're not drunk. It's like, all right, man, I like the outfit and the fucking the get up and the accent, and you're doing a great job, but I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, sometimes there's nothing weirder than when like somebody's like in full character talking to you, but you're like 100% sober and all that shit, and like, because it's cool for like long enough to take a picture, but then after that, because they're not breaking character, it's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. There's like something's obviously wrong here.
Yeah, because how can I guess I can play along a little bit. I haven't seen any of those fucking movies since maybe 2006, 2007, so I guess I can fuck around for a second. But I can't turn into somebody else and keep this shit going.
Well, there seems to be like a character trait too with people that get in character like that. Like they want to stay and talk to you too. They will talk to you. Well, maybe they're drunk too. It's like they walk up and they just like they usually have like no sense of personal space to begin with, and then they want to like talk forever and ever and ever. Yeah, it gets weird quick.
It does, man. And I did some of the games there. I did the fucking, where you take the big ass fucking metal axe and you put it over your shoulder and you throw it at that huge wood stump.
Yeah, like the overhand.
Yeah, I did that. That's one of my favorite ones because I'm pretty good at that one. But since my arm's all fucked up from my surgery, I couldn't do it that well, so I kind of felt like a bitch. I was upset about that. And then I did the hammer on the thing where you hit it and the bell goes up in the air and or the thing. What's that called?
I don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
You have a big ass fucking wooden sledgehammer and you hit the thing down and it goes up ding like that.
Yeah.
I got it.
Strongman contest thing.
2 out of 3 times. But the truth is I got tipped off when I went up there. The guy was like, "Hey, make sure you hit the front of it if you want it to ding." I was like, "Thanks, bro." So I didn't look like a total bitch in front of my girl. But even with my fucked up arm, I got a couple in there. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, good deal.
But yeah, what else, man? Oh, we wanted to talk about something else. Obviously, we're trying to avoid politics because we talked about it a lot, but that's probably going to come up.
Well, we skipped a week, yeah. So in our defense, like a lot of shit's gone down since the last time we talked about it, and like I mean, there's been the third debate, and early voting has started.
Yeah, and but we'll get into that in a second. One thing we want to talk about though is Facebook.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And the question is, it's not even a burning question. It's probably something that everybody just thinks about. Is Facebook worth it? Is it worth using? And the reason that you and I were discussing this and asking each other that is because of all the fucking bullshit that's on there. Like passive-aggressive shit, people trying to sell shit. It's out of fucking control.
Well, yeah. So I was looking at my feed the other day, and the question just like popped into my mind is like, why the fuck am I looking at this? So I'm browsing through it. So I probably literally have 15. So I don't have that many people. I don't know how many people I have on Facebook. Maybe 120 people. I don't fucking know. So probably 80% of them are people that are family members that I've like never talked to in my life. Like literally may have never met. People from high school that I have not talked to in however the fuck long it's been since I got out of high school. And then there's like my, close friends, family members, the people that I actually interact with, which is, a much smaller pool, right? Well, I'm scrolling through this thing and I bet out of these people, I have 15 people who are doing like some kind of multi-level marketing. And they post that shit all the time. So it's like every other post on my fucking feed there is some kind of, it could be anything. It's selling candles and weight loss shit. It could be anything. It's just tons of it. And, then the other part is like these full, like passive aggressive meme conversations. And don't get me wrong. I love good memes. Like the right meme is perfect, but a lot of it is designed purely to troll. Even though the people that are doing it often, I don't know if they even know what trolling is per se, but they're doing it. You know what I mean? It's obviously to get a reaction. And a lot of it is just garbage as far as I'm concerned. And then, I don't know. I guess like when I'm scrolling through this thing, I almost feel like aside from seeing like pictures of like my family members' kids and like maybe, in contact with my family members, it's a complete waste of time. It's not providing any value that I can think of at the moment to my life other than, it does give me shit to talk about on here sometimes, but I just don't know that it's providing much value, and I'm thinking about getting off this thing. And, I want to stay on it for the show and stuff, obviously, and to keep in touch with people. So I'm trying to decide what it is. Maybe I just need to delete like 100 fucking people off there. Maybe that's what it means. Or maybe I need to just like not look at it. I mean, I don't look at it. I'm not like a lot of people are with Facebook. Like I can breeze through that shit a little bit, but I start looking at that feed and I'm like, fuck, I don't give a fuck about what you're selling and like all this. So I just shut it off and so I miss a lot on Facebook because I just don't care. I don't pay attention. I'm not scrolling through hundreds and hundreds of posts of passive aggressive shit and selling me candles. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And it really is a waste of time to look at it. And, sometimes when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I fucking hate these people. Why do I still have them on here? Why do I even come to Facebook in the first place? And it's like you said, is to keep in touch with family, but also I learned maybe 6 months ago that if you like something, if I like an MMA fighter, then from then on I get their news feed or I follow them until I cancel it. And so I follow a ton of MMA shit, MMA media. And so it's a great source for me because I don't have to go to each website. I can just, scroll through my shit and see all kinds of shit on there. But, every single day I see shit on there, from, it could be a man or a woman, and it usually has something to do with a relationship. And it's like, I'm so tired of being trampled on by these fuck boys or something like that. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. You're fucking like 35 years old and your family can see this, your friends. Like, you need to internalize a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, man. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what else to say about Facebook. I don't know. Just this past week, I've been looking at it, and I'm just not sure that I'm gonna be spending much time on there going forward. I mean, for just a number of reasons. But it turned out to be just like a time sink that provides almost no value, as far as I can tell. And then on top of that, some of the shit just kind of stresses me out, And then there's also like a lot of the people that are on there that you like never talk to. Like, why the hell do we keep them on there? It's like some kind of weird, almost like voyeuristic thing. You know what I mean? Like in the natural world, I would just not know what's going on with you, and the world would be perfectly fine. And I don't really care right now anyway. So I don't know. Maybe it just needs a good purge to like bring the quality of the content back up on there.
Yeah, that may be what it is. But yeah, Facebook is shit. But fuck it, man. Let's dive into politics.
Man, lighten them up tonight.
Yeah, I had a couple of these fucking awesome beers. Newcastle Brown Ale. And if you haven't had one, you probably should. It's a great beer, man.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that third debate was interesting. I thought that Donald Trump could have done a lot better, but he hit a couple of home runs in there.
I thought he did pretty good. One thing that I feel like he did not capitalize on was, so when he started bringing up the WikiLeaks shit, she immediately went to this like defensive of, you're trying to help Putin and Russia and all this shit. And I would have stopped it right there and I've been like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I don't give a shit. Is the content of the email real? You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to deflect, obviously, because the content of the emails is far more dangerous to you than if, the Russian embassy is trying to get your shit, or whatever. So I feel like he fucking dropped the ball on that, man. He could have, I feel like he could have finished. It would have been like fucking Mortal Kombat, like flawless victory and shit, dude. Rip the spine out. You know what I mean? Like, He could have fucking finished her off, and he didn't. And, now I think we're sadly maybe seeing the repercussions of that. I mean, granted, I don't know. I keep thinking about this, but like, how much of an asshole do you have to be to not be able to beat Hillary Clinton? But then I think about how many fuckwads are there in this world that she's able to win anything. So I don't know. And I can't totally blame it on the people because they're given very poor choices. And, I don't know. I'll get to that in a minute, but what else did you see in the debate that you thought was interesting?
Well, the main three criticisms from Donald Trump, and not just from Hillary Clinton, but people who are opposing him. It's the bankruptcy issue where he used the loss to his advantage. Like, to me, like, who gives a fuck? If you told me that you were going bankrupt and you were about to lose $100 million and then you use these laws to do something to save your money, I'd be like, fucking A, bro.
Well, yeah. So that whole thing, like, that Hillary brought up a few times, that if he's not breaking the law and he's just taking advantage of laws that exist, that's a non-fucking issue.
Yeah,
if he's not taking any tax breaks he can, he's a fucking idiot. Like, why would you not do that?
And then the other thing is obviously his attitude towards women, or the accusations that are coming out, like the one from Jessica Drake from 2006. She's a porn star, and so she's saying that he came up to her, and I think it was another woman that was with her, and he kissed her on the mouth and grabbed her or something without her permission. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, this chick sucks dicks for a living, right? I'm not saying that Donald Trump is innocent, but in this particular incident, I might want to see a little more evidence than her just saying it, because whenever she came out in the news, I saw a picture of her on, I think it was Yahoo or something like that, and it was her, and it kind of more of her porn star look. And then when she came out with that statement, they had her dressed up like Sarah fucking Palin, and it's like, I see what you're doing. You're trying to get rich. You're trying, and the thing is I read that her new website had just dropped or something like that, just came out. And so she's trying to get publicity. I get it, man. But I mean, maybe he did do the shit that she's saying, but in that particular case, I want more evidence. But anyway, the point is so he's getting heavily criticized for that with the women, and the other one is his lack of experience. And I kind of on this note, I get what people were saying, but at the same time, his experience, he has experience in business and shit like that, and from the way I can tell, that's what the world is. It's business. That's what politics is. And so he does have some type of valid experience, whereas, and I felt like Trump made a good point too, is that she's been in the game for 30 plus years, and from a lot of people's perspectives, all she's done is basically nothing. It's just fuck shit up. So, I don't know, man. I even forgot what the fucking point was that I was trying to make there. But those are the three main criticisms he's getting that I see. Oh, I know the point. But when you look at Hillary Clinton, all the shit that's coming out about her, it's like real shit. I'm not in any way downplaying the sexual assaults. If that's real, it's real. Fuck them, take them to jail, whatever. But for her, it's like high level fucking white collar crime, criminal shit.
Obviously real, like 100% real.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the whole thing with Hillary is I don't understand how anyone can support her unless they are not paying attention. I can't wrap my head around it. I get it, like people don't like Donald Trump and they're like never Trump and all that bullshit. Okay, I get that, but I don't understand. I guess I don't understand how the hell we got here to begin with. Is like, how did we end up with these two fucking bozos up there? I don't get it. So I went and early voted the other day, and I was proud to see that there was a ton of people out there early voting in our area, definitely. And I've heard that continues today. Huge lines, takes a while to vote. And as I talked about before, I did end up voting for Gary Johnson. Now, I gotta admit that I did have a moment of pause before I voted, and I was thinking, and I guess I was being less idealistic a little bit, and I was trying to be a little more pragmatic, and I was thinking, man, should I just vote for Trump? Because Hillary is so fucked up. You know what I mean? And I talked myself back out of it pretty quickly, really, because I thought, well, really, that's not going for the goals that I'm going for. Because I never have supported Donald Trump. I've said that many times on here. But, and I've also said Gary Johnson's not the strongest. He's not even a strong libertarian presidential candidate. I mean, to be perfectly honest with it. But at the same time, I do believe he is the only reasonable human being that was in the race. And my goal was to start helping to break up the two-party system, and that doesn't happen by voting in the two-party system. So, and I'm kind of idealistic that way. So I stuck with my morals because that's part of my core, man, is not fucking giving in to bullshit. You know what I mean? So like, I felt like it was important for me to do that. And I've gotten some flack about it, even from some people up there, because I told people who I was voting for, and, but at the same time, like my goal is definitely to help that two-party system start to fail so we can actually get some reason, because I feel like this has gone as far as it can. We have the two biggest fucking retards on earth up there right now, and nobody is excited to vote for either one of these fucking bozos. So the only way to get out of that is to start stepping away from that system. So I felt like I was able to vote with a clear conscience that I didn't help to perpetuate that shit for next time. Now, I know there's a lot of people that aren't doing that, but it was important to me to at least kind of take that fucking ultra minimal stand that I was able to. I feel like maybe that was the only way and the only thing I could do to possibly, I guess, help the country. But and so one of the biggest criticisms I've had is like that. By doing that, it's a vote for Hillary, but I'm calling bullshit on that, absolute bullshit, because the only way you can vote for Hillary is if you vote for Hillary. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, Trump didn't lose my fucking vote because he never had that bitch to begin with. Like, I was never going to vote for Donald Trump. So, the idea that somehow what I did was helpful to Hillary, I think is fucking bullshit, and I don't, I disagree with that sentiment altogether.
I'm with you, dude. I totally hear you, and the truth is I've never voted before, and I'm also not registered to vote, and I just found that out because I looked it up, and online you can look to see if you're registered, because I was going to go in and vote, and the truth is I was going to vote for Donald Trump, and the reason why is because I know it's either him or Hillary that's going to win. Now, I am 100% in agreement with you about Gary Johnson. I like splitting up the two parties and getting more people involved, the libertarians and all that shit. I mean, and if I look at Gary Johnson's policies, I don't really disagree with anything that he's talking about. And I know a lot of people got pissed off at him about what the fuck is the name of that town in
Aleppo.
Syria? Aleppo, yeah. And I didn't know about Aleppo either because I don't follow that shit because it fucking depresses me. But, I mean, I get it that he's running for president. He should know about all the conflicts over there. But at the same time, he's one man. And he's not like Hillary Clinton. He doesn't have his fucking questions written out for him.
Well, if you listen to him, I don't know if you listened to him. He was Rogan had him on his podcast, and he asked him a lot of questions about stuff. And the thing about it is, like, the one thing I like about Gary Johnson, like, I don't think he's the strongest candidate by a long shot. He falters on some libertarian views, which isn't hard to do because libertarians, the thing about libertarians is they're not like this solid cohesive unit is why they have so many problems because there's kind of like different sects of them, where some of them are more hardcore about this and that than others. So they have a hard time organizing, right? But anyway, he's reasonable, right? Like he says straight up, he's like, hey, if I don't know, I'm not just going to spout my mouth off about bullshit. I'll figure it out and then I'll talk about it. You know what I mean? Rather than going up and having Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton moments. To me, that's a very honest answer. Like, I don't expect you to know everything about every, like, little country and little city in the world. I mean, some things are more important than others, but I absolutely believe that in either one of us even, like, I don't know jack shit about Aleppo, but not necessarily, but I feel like the situation could be explained to me and then I could understand it and I could talk to people that did fully understand the situation and help to make decisions with that. So. Yeah.
And, I like the guy. I don't dislike him. I mean, he seems like the kind of guy I'd probably hang out with, honestly. But, again, for me, it came down to who is probably really going to win and more so than just off of, principle. So, to me, Donald Trump, he speaks to the middle class blue collar veteran. That's exactly who I am. And so, he does a lot of dumb shit and he says a lot of dumb shit that I don't feel like represents me at all. I mean, I say dumb shit on here, but it's fucking whatever. I know I can't be the fucking president, but, I want him to get shit done with the VA specifically. I've been to the fucking VA twice trying to get shit because I have my hearing loss and the fucking sometimes my ears ring tinnitus, whatever the fuck it's called, because I worked in a loud ass atmosphere for 9 fucking years as an aircraft mechanic, so for the Air Force, and so I feel this sounds crazy, but the way that's explained to me is I'm entitled to be looked at for free by those doctors to see if they can help me, and so I don't have to pay for it. But when you go in there, it's a fucking nightmare, dude.
Yeah.
But also, when I go in there, man, not only is it a nightmare, but I see combat veterans in there with, like, missing legs and shit, and I walk in, I'm like, dude, the line's long enough. I'm not stepping in front of these guys. Yeah, my hearing's fucked up, and sometimes my ears ring randomly and shit like that. But this dude needs help, like, way worse than me. You know what I mean? So I just leave because you can go in there and just sit there for hours and fucking hours and hours, and they'll tell you to come back the next day or tell you to come back in 7 days, and you go back and you got to sit there and wait in line and wait in line. And it's a fucking, you can't get anything done. It takes for fucking ever because they're not. And also when you go in there, and it may not be like this all across the country, but in fucking New Jersey, and I think I went to Philly also to try to go to the VA there. I can't remember. Yeah, it was Philly also, or not Philly, but Pennsylvania in general, like right across the state line, and then also in Houston. And when you go in there, these buildings are shit, just old fucked up buildings with dirty tile inside, and you're in there like, this is a fucking doctor's office, like this fucking. What the fuck? We're in the 2000s. Fix this shit. Where the fuck's the money for this? And I think that's where a lot of people like me kind of get enraged because when you look at some things that we spend a lot of money on, our country does, and you're like, that's fucking bullshit. You're fucking wasting money on that. Mm-hmm. And then you see all these dudes in there with fucked up legs and fucking like burn scars on their face and shit. It's like, dude, we gotta fucking figure this the fuck out.
Well, kind of my opinion, and I'm not a veteran, so I mean, I say some of this with a grain of salt, but I do care about people. So, like, my position is firmly, we shouldn't be going to these fucking bullshit wars. Like, there hasn't been a scenario that I'm aware of where America has been in direct danger from any of these fucking Middle Eastern countries at all. Yeah, there's bullshit going on over there, but they're not going to like march ground troops onto American soil. That's just not going to happen. So I don't think we need to be sending our dudes over there and them getting fucked up like that. And then on top of that, when they get back, they can't count on the U.S. to take care of them. That's fucking bullshit. Like, there's nothing worse that we can do. And everybody, you got to really think about this. This is what government healthcare, real government healthcare looks like. Our VA hospitals don't look largely different than shit in bullshit socialist countries like Venezuela, per se, or something like that. That's what that shit is. Like, when they run it, it's an incompetent sack of shit. So I don't know that, I just think we have to know what to expect when we get into these things. And I definitely do not support in any way sending any more of our people over there to get hurt. And not only get hurt, but there's so many people that come back with like PTSD and mental things going on too, man. And these people are just not getting the help they need. And that's fucking bullshit. Like, we need to stop causing the problem if we don't have especially if we don't have any support here for them when they get back.
Fucking A. And I saw a recent report that came out, and most people who were in the military that got deployed, they had to get, when they're going to the Middle East, they had to get anthrax shots. And I'm one of those people. And I don't know how it is now, or even if they still get them, but at the time, it's a series of shots. I think it's between 4 and 6 appointments that you go, and I think it happens over like a 2 or 6 month period. This was 10 years ago or 11 years ago, so I honestly don't remember. But anyway, and it's saying that anthrax shots, it can cause brain damage and depression and fucking irrational behavior and all kinds of shit. And I'm not saying that necessarily happened to me, but I just find it, an interesting coincidence that after I got back from my deployment, and I had gone through my series I got my anthrax shots before I went on my deployment, but and I experienced some of these symptoms when I was over there. And to be clear, I was not a combatant; I was an aircraft mechanic in Al-Udeid, Qatar. But when I came back, I started having these like weird fucking mood swings that I didn't have before. Because me, I'm like a pretty like nice and sweet person most of the time, and I like to fucking joke around and that kind of thing. But I was having these mood swings, and then I fell into these deep fucking depressions that I hadn't had before. And so it was like so obvious that I went to I got sent to cognitive therapy and anger management. This is all while I was in the military, and I actually got on medication. It was what the fuck? It was Zoloft, to help me with my depression and shit. And like I had this low energy, and my thoughts were all fucked up. And as now over time, it's gotten way better. I don't feel like that at all. But for a couple of years there, it was just like I wasn't myself. And there could be other factors involved that caused that. I'm not sure. It may have nothing to do with the anthrax shots. But when I read that, and I was thinking, fuck, man, I'm not the only one. A lot of the people that I worked with had the same shit going on, and we just figured tough times because of our job. You work long hours, 12-hour shifts for fucking like a month or two at a time, which are actually like 13 or 14-hour shifts because you have to come in early and you leave late. And sometimes it's like I said, a month or two at a time. And you just get worn out and pissed off. And, this standard military attitude is, no matter how good you are, you're not good enough. It's like, you did a good job, but you can still do this and this and this. And that's what you hear every day at roll call when you get there, because they have to make sure that nobody's, missing. And they're like, okay, guys, today we got to do this and this and this, and you guys fucked this up. You did a good job on this, but we got to fucking turn it up. Like, that's what they always tell you. And so it can kind of develop this mentality of like, man, fuck you. Can you just say fucking you guys did a good job just one fucking day? So that kind of shit, I could see how over time for anyone, it could cause depression and anger issues and shit like that. So that's what I attributed it to. But now, man, after reading that report, I'm just thinking, fuck, dude, maybe I might have fucked myself by taking those fucking shots. But, I mean, what can I do,
I don't know, man. I think as a country, we need to start thinking long and hard about all these like, foreign deployments and what we're doing. I mean, on several levels. The first one, though, the first and the most immediate problem is the human problem, is what's happening to these people when they go over, like you said, maybe, if you go over and take some fucking anthrax vaccine that, we don't have any kind of proven record on at this point. And, if that's bothering people, not to mention all the dudes that are seeing their buddies getting, killed and, God knows what. And you know, a lot of them get put in fucked up situations where they have to kill people, and then they're, you know, they got to live with that for the rest of their life. I mean, whether or not it's a combatant trying to kill you, or, you know, God forbid, like a kid or something. I mean, in any of those situations, you're still killing somebody, and that's against the natural order. You know what I mean? It's not good for people mentally. So, you know, I think we need to take a look at that. It's easy to make the argument that we spend way too much fucking money on that bullshit for what we get out of it, which is arguably nothing. I don't know, man. That's a tough thing. And that is actually a large part of the platform why I support the libertarians, is because they're very, you know, slow for violence and stuff like that, for things that are not a direct threat to America. You know, it's actually stop and think about what you're doing, you know, get Congress to declare war if you're going to actually go to war, and not just jump into crazy shit and throwing our people into stuff. So, I don't know. That's one of those things I do feel strongly about, because I feel like that we treat people like some kind of like video game soldiers, and that's fucking bullshit. And then we're not taking care of them when they get back. So until we get that solved, there's a 0% chance that I'll be voting for any of these clowns that are not doing that.
Yeah, we have to start taking care of our fucking veterans, man. It's embarrassing that it's so public that our country's not doing a good job at it. I mean, in the most severe cases, obviously, things are getting handled usually, but it's not near enough, man. For all the money that we spend on other bullshit, it's not cool, dude. Like, when I was an aircraft mechanic, there was this dude that we worked with, and he was in the Marines first, before, and then he switched over to Air Force. He got out for a little bit and was like, fuck this, I'm gonna go to the Air Force. And, he's killed a bunch of motherfuckers. I know he has. He never told me, but he had a really close relationship with one of our coworkers, and I was also very good friends with him. And he told me in privacy, I'm not going to say anybody's names, you know, but that guy's, you know, done some shit and seen some shit. Lots of dead, fucked up, mutilated bodies, all kinds of crazy shit. And then it started to make sense to me. I always liked this guy, man, but he's like really high tempo, ADD, like, and he's not even aware that he's like talking over people and shit like that. He was still, you know, a good airman, a good guy. I liked him, you know, I liked to hang out with him, but, there was a lot of shit going on there, and you can just kind of just see, he's just like a different type of person, you know? And those people need to be able to get fucking treatment, man. The guy, he needs, in my opinion, he needs to be able to see fucking counselors and psychologists and all that kind of shit. And I don't think that it's as available to him as it should be, and as frequent as it should be.
Well, I think one of the questions we have to ask too is, even if the counselors are available, or whatever it is, does that solve the problem? You know what I mean? Like, let's say that, like this dude you're talking about, like, let's say he's killed a bunch of people, maybe seen like tons of people get killed, you know, people maybe they're close to him, and is there any amount of counseling that erases that? I don't think so. Like, I think that you can improve your situation a little bit, maybe, and maybe you can take enough drugs to numb that out, but I don't think that's something that, I mean, and I don't know, man. I don't want to fucking say anything to plant anything in anybody's head, but I'm just not positive that you can counsel that shit out. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause that's a big fucking deal, man. That's just not trivial. Like, I don't know if there is the medical, like, we should be providing everything, every resource those dudes need. You know, anybody who's done that, they should have everything that we as America can offer them to help with them with that shit. Because like I said, I'm not sure you can counsel that out. I don't know if there's enough drugs I mean, that's why you hear about all these guys that are, you know, turning into drug addicts and shit. They're just trying to wash that shit out, man. And I'm just not sure it's that possible. So I don't think we should talk about it so lightly, about going to war and about sending dudes over there, especially some fucking pricks in a suit in Washington that have never done anything like that. So you can't treat humans like a video game. I don't know. This is like a subject that really, really fucking pisses me off, because I feel like we treat our soldiers like shit. And then what's weird is it's the same cunts that are saying, support our troops. You want to support our troops? Quit putting them in fucking stupid situations. I mean, I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a soldier. I can't fucking, I don't want to like overstep my boundaries, but I feel strongly about that. Just from a human perspective, we should not be doing stupid things with humans.
Yeah, and like you said, the best way for this to stop happening is just to prevent it altogether, is to stop getting involved in conflicts that aren't completely necessary. I mean, the world we live in, because there's a bunch of crazy motherfuckers in this world, there are times when conflict is necessary, and there are times when troops literally have to be on the ground in those zones to take things over that they need, or to save civilians, or to save hostages. There's all kinds of scenarios where it is necessary. And thank God for those fucking people, dude, for our Marines and our Army and fucking all the people that go out there and fuck shit up. I mean, that takes huge balls, huge sacrifice, not just physically and your relationships in your life and all that, you know, being away from home for so long and seeing all that crazy shit. It's just, that's a lot to put on a person, man. And that's really, whether you agree with the fucking wars and the squabbles that we get into, is like, you can't fucking pull that like Vietnam shit and put it on our soldiers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's still people that do. Like I know this guy, and he has a PhD in some kind of shit. I don't fucking know, ancient aliens or something, but he does have his PhD. I know him. And we've gotten in conversations before, and he's kind of shit on me because I chose to opt out of community college where I was going and join the military because I didn't have any fucking money. And I'm trying to and he's like, I mean, he wasn't like shitting on me enough to get punched in the face, but it was like borderline, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, man, I see what you're saying, dude, but the fact is we have to have a military, and then also everybody doesn't have rich parents, dude. I'm like, I'm glad your parents are fucking rich and they sent you to all these schools and you've traveled all over the world and shit. I'm like, that's great. I mean, you're a cool guy. You have interesting shit to say, dude, but you can't fucking shit on people when you don't even like know about that. When you have, okay, for one thing, I'm not going to say, people join the military a lot of times simply because they want to be in the military, regardless if they come from a wealthy home or a poor home or whatever. They're patriots. They fucking love military shit. And they're just there. They're fucking 100% down. But there's also people who are in the middle or on the complete other end who are just broke and their life is fucked and they just need direction. They need training. They need money. You know, and then once they get there, they're like, man.
Well, I expect that's a lot of people too. That's a large number of people. I mean, I don't know statistics, but I'm guessing that there's a huge number of people that are there because they need it to get by. I mean, they're not there because they're itching to go to war or, you know, that they're enthralled with military history. They're there because it's a means for them to like take care of their life, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I know plenty of people like that. I would say I'm one of the people who fell in the middle somewhere. But I know plenty of people like that, and these are good and decent people. That they're not hateful people. They don't want to hurt anyone, but they're aware of the fact of two things. Is one, we have to have a military. People have to sign up for it. And two, they offer amazing, like top-of-the-line training. And sometimes people try to shit on military training, and it makes me laugh. Because when you're there, you can, especially in the Air Force, the amount of money they spend on the schools that you go to is fucking crazy, dude. My tech school alone, just my tech school, was like fucking $64,000. And this was in, 2004? That was just my tech school. But if you're starting to put dollars on shit, my apprenticeships, all the training programs they sent me to, the other schools that I went to, it's like over $100,000. And it's like top of the line shit. And people don't understand that. I mean, you pay for it with time, many 12-hour shifts, getting treated like shit a lot of the time, not seeing your family hardly ever. You pay for it in those ways and with a low wage. But at the same time, you're still getting this great fucking training. So for a lot of people, it's a good thing. And, but what you'll see, and people kind of are like, well, you just go there because you're fucking dumb and poor and you don't have any options. Like, they act like that's like a bad thing. I'm not saying to be dumb, but I mean saying like, to be poor, like you should be ashamed of that. Everybody doesn't have the same fucking opportunities in life. It's just a fact, man. And, but what I respect more is the guy who doesn't have the opportunities and he does whatever he has to do to be successful.
It's creating opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah. He's taken the sacrifice, all the time and the hours to make something of himself. And it's fucking like, and also a lot of times they do start to become more patriotic and in love with the military as they learn more about it. You know, they're not just there to use the government. It's like they try to act like you're on fucking welfare or something. It's not like that at all. You know, people who haven't been in the military or don't have close family members in the military, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. I think there's a huge disconnect between the average American and what someone in the military is going through or why they're there. I mean, and that is on every level. That's what you were just talking about as far as not understanding what it's like on the inside and motivations, all the way to not understanding that these are real humans that you're sending into wars. Because, I mean, at this point, I think we've gotten to where, you know, I'd say ever since Iraq and stuff, is that people are so like just worn out on war talk on the news. They're numb to it, right? So there's like, oh yeah, we're entering this new conflict. Nobody even thinks shit about it. You know what I mean? And it's on the news. And we need to be thinking about that and taking that seriously, because that's not something we should be numb about. Is, anytime that you have the taking of human life, that's not something that we should just like be listening to in the background. It's something we should be actively participating in and thinking about and making decisions about, and not just letting the same people over and over and over make the same decisions without any voice whatsoever.
And I'm guilty of that too. As you said, whenever we've entered this new conflict, or so-and-so did this and we're going over here, as I am also numb to it. And I want it to just stop. But, that's not the way the world works. I think it's what I'm trying to say is I feel helpless. Like, how does my voice affect anything? Because even if you have the voices of millions and millions of people that share the same idea, it doesn't mean that anything is going to get done about it. Especially today. It's just by watching the debates with Trump and Hillary, it's fucking like they've done all this crazy shit. More so Hillary, in my opinion, but here she is. There's still many projections that she's going to be the fucking president.
Well, it's like, weird. We're in a weird time. And maybe it's not any different than any other time, but the way that people get information now and communicate is very, very different. Because like now everything's a headline or a meme. You know what I mean? Like that's literally how people are getting their information, is some dumb shit like Comedy Central headline, or you can tell because there's people that get trolled by Onion articles all the time. And these fucking morons are on there like having huge fights in the comments of a fucking Onion article. That tells me that every person on there is too fucking stupid to be involved in the system, because you don't even realize you're reading a satire site. And this isn't like 2 or 3 people. There might be 100 fucking people on there, like having legitimate fights, calling each other cunts and stuff. And it's over an article that was titled like Donald Trump rapes 15 women and then brags about it. You know what I mean? Like it's like obvious satire, and the average American just can't seem to process that and realize what they're looking at. So that tells me right now that you will believe anything, and you hear it all the time. I even, like when I was standing in line to vote, the way you listen to, the way you listen to people talk about what's going on, it's all in headline terms. Like there was no deep discussion to be had. They're like, well, I heard this happen and I heard this. It's like, no, you didn't. You read a headline just like everybody else, and you don't know shit beyond that surface thing. Like that's the fact. You know what I mean? So it's figuring out how to break through that. And that may just be a human problem. That just might be that we just, humans haven't had the great brush fire to fucking clean out the morons. You know what I mean? Like there's no natural predators for us or whatever it is. That sounds so terrible, but like there may not be a solution to some of those problems, because I don't know how you fix that. I don't know how you make people interested in things they're not interested in. And maybe it's not even that they're not interested. It's that they're not intelligent enough to look past the surface on anything. So, because if you don't know what you're talking about, there is no possible way that you can make a good decision about it without absolute luck. And I feel like we got a lot of people that are sitting in that position that are in the headline and meme world, and then just repeat talking points off of the news channels. So until we can figure out some way to get past that, I don't know how you fix these problems, other than maybe what these people need to be seeing instead of these retarded headlines. They need to be seeing pictures of war zones and seeing what the actual damage looks like to humans. Of course, if they're not, desensitized to it at this point.
And that's what's crazy about that too, is that's a good point about people being desensitized. But I think that in a lot of ways, the media hides it. Unless they can find a way to sensationalize something, then they kind of hide it. And I understand this too. Like, I don't want to disrespect the privacy of the family by showing a dead soldier on the news, his mutilated corpse and all that. I get it, man. I get it. If you don't want it on there, it's your right to say, I don't want that on there. But at the same time, there's power in letting American citizens see that, and also see the reactions of their family to the terrible thing that's happened to their family member. And that type of thing can become, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a catalyst?
I think catalyst is good. Like, what was it? It was back in 2008, maybe it was 2009. And there was a young girl that got shot in the heart by a sniper. Do you remember that? And this was it was somewhere in the Middle East. It was so long ago. But just her being on film, like the seconds, she died in like 16 seconds, I think, after the bullet hit her.
Yeah.
But that whole thing sparked like a fucking revolution. And
yeah, and it absolutely should.
Yeah, it's because when you're seeing the suffering and the pain, and let's use that little girl for example. You can relate that to a daughter or a sister, or or your wife or whoever.
Yeah.
It's like, holy fuck, that's fucking crazy. I can't imagine not only the terror and that she felt, but her whole family and the people who loved her friends. And so I think that it's fucked up in a way, but people need to see what is actually happening over there, and not just to our troops, but also to people who are just kind of caught in the middle, the innocent people who are just...
Yeah, that's another thing. So I think what has been forgotten about war is there's only one way to win a war, and that is to break the will of your opponent, right? And there is no way to break the will of your opponent. Well, when was the last time that a will was broken with the United States involved? You know what it was?
Japan?
It was in Japan. And do you know what that meant? Like, do you know how many innocent people died in that fucking bullshit? Like, if you want to... Okay, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to go to war and you intend on winning, you better have a good fucking reason. Like, there better be imminent danger to America. Because you're not going to win a war unless you go in there and you break a will. And the only way you're going to do that is massive killing, massive indiscriminate killing.
It's basically accepting unlimited collateral damage.
Absolutely. So, I mean, what is a war? And I'm saying this with air quotes right now. What is a war that we have won since then? It sure as fuck wasn't Vietnam. It wasn't anything in the Middle East. If anybody thinks we've won anything, they're out of their fucking mind. The only thing we've done is gotten a lot of our people really fucked up, and then we're not taking care of them. So, I think that people have to remember what war is. Like, war in the old days, you remember, you see these videos see the drawings and stuff of these two armies standing in huge lines and then facing each other until someone won. You know what I mean? There was a definitive kind of end to these wars. Like, someone got their will broken, they lost the fucking war, But that's not the way it works anymore. And this is just my opinion. I could be 100% wrong, but I don't think you win a war without going and breaking wills. So, and I don't think that that's a decision that should be made lightly at all. So, if that's not what you're intended to do, it's kind of like a weapon. You don't get that fucking thing out unless you intend to use it, and there is a situation that has justified even pulling it out. So I feel like that's kind of where we're at with it, and we just need to think of that stuff differently. Because there's all these weird situations where we're going into like civil war situations, we're arming rebels, and then the rebels end up being our enemies, and they have our weapons, and this shit happens over and over and over, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, if they were never an imminent threat to America to begin with, why were we even fucking with it? Maybe it was to protect an ally, maybe, but a lot of these situations aren't even that. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm rambling on about this, but this is, I think people just need, in general, to think about war more seriously and not treat it like some fucking weird video game.
And this is one area where I do agree with Donald Trump on, and this may not be a popular opinion. I know it is among some people, but is that we have to view Islamic extremists exactly for what it is, call it what it is, and fucking take that shit out. Because Sharia law, if people trying to enforce that in the United States and in England and all this shit, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Call it what it is. It's crazy, psychotic bullshit. Just because you were raised a certain way and you believe a certain thing, go fuck yourself. Just because you believe something doesn't mean it's fucking true. You know what I mean? Like, fuck you.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fucking huge fact. Like, that's my disgust and disdain for religion. And look, like I've said this before, I love most of the people I know are associated with some form of religion, mostly Christianity. And I love these people, and I love them deeply. But at the same time, it's not going to stop me from saying that fucking religion has to fucking go, man. It's fucking bullshit. I'm not saying that there's not a God or a spiritual being out there, because there very well may be. But all this other shit that's making you base your life decisions off of shit that's so fucking old and outdated and just sounds absolutely fucking ridiculous, it's just got to stop, man. It has to stop.
There's been a lot of talk about that, about the fact that, I say that, like Hillary Clinton and Obama won't say radical Islamic terrorism. I think there's definitely an argument there. And the reason I think that is because if you can't talk plainly about what something is, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to solve it. And another thing, though, is when it comes to religion, you're not dealing with something rational either. So you're not. I don't know how you solve that to begin with. The only way you can stop people from trying to kill you, once again, I still kind of believe this, is if you're going to go to war, you have to break their will. You're not going to break their religion. So, I don't know how you do that. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're talking about multiple countries and all this, I don't know. I guess I don't have a real clear vision on how many of these people are actually trying to get over here. And if they are, I'm not convinced in any way that can't just be controlled with our fucking immigration laws. You know what I mean? Like, I know that there are situations where it would be good for like refugees to come and that we should let them come if they're in real fucked up situations. But there's also the realism of what if these people, there's a high probability of them having an ideology that is very anti-America. So these are things that there's not like a binary yes or no answer to, and they're complex problems. But and to talk about a complex problem, you have to be able to talk about what it is, and you have to be able to. And when it comes to religion, we're in a weird position because in America we have obviously the freedom of religion, which I think is absolutely the correct thing to do. But we've let what's a freedom of religion become a freedom from criticism of religion, and that's something we definitely have to get away from, because if you can't talk about ideas, you can't ever solve anything. I mean, if you can't talk about something, there is no way for it to evolve, for it to change ever, or for minds to change. So that's one of those things where it's never going to be politically correct, but it's very important to be able to talk about anything very plainly, or otherwise you're just pissing in the wind. You know, you're spinning your wheels. You're not going to get anything accomplished. So that's one of those things where I feel like it's been taken and used like as a political sword to say, well, they won't say the word. But at the same time, it is absolutely true that if you can't talk about things plainly, you will never solve them.
This is the generic answer is education, and especially in the science sector, about things, how the world actually works, what the most likely case is on how we came to be, how the universe works. Just having the basics of that information, many of them being facts, I think it's enough for an intelligent person, if they just look at it and they see that it's a fact, that they can start turning away from these crazy religious ideas about how things are the way that you're supposed to be. Because when you're bringing in something like extreme Islam bullshit, and you're telling people they have to dress a certain way and do this and all this bullshit, fuck that. Okay? Well, this is where it gets a little bit complex, because if you're married to a woman and you're more on the extreme end of Islam or being a Muslim, then she likes to wear the what the fuck's the thing?
Burqa.
Yeah, the burqa and all that shit, and she likes to walk behind you and all that, and that's her choice, then that's fine. That's what you guys do. But when you start trying to push it on people and force it and telling these people that they're fucking, I don't know, infidels and all that, go fuck yourself, you know? Like, that shit has no place in the United States. You keep that shit to your fucking self. That's my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little fucking Bill O'Reilly here. I don't fucking care. And it's not just Islam that I'm shitting on. It's all fucking religion. I can't fucking stand it, dude. Fucking, even in Christianity. If we had to look at it this way, I would say that the average non-denominational Christian that's just a decent person, like, they're basically harmless. They're telling you fucking to be a good person, to go to work and, you know, not hurt people and shit like that. Whatever, you know, but there's a lot of fucking shit out there that just makes people fucking nuts, dude. And they have to get away from that shit. And I don't know the answer, but the only answer I can really think of, again, it's education. What else can you do? But if people have their minds made up, if they feel like they've had a spiritual event in their life, that you don't understand, bro. You just don't know, man. You weren't there. I felt it, man. I felt the power of Jesus Christ. And I'm like, no, you didn't, man.
Well, that's the thing, is all of it is so subjective. I mean, it's totally open to interpretation, because I'll give you an example. Like, I think you would be hard pressed. And if someone has an example, please feel free to call and leave us a voicemail and tell me about this. But I think you would be hard pressed to find a place in the Bible where and I'm talking about the Christian Bible, New Testament, or really New Testament. Okay, like when you get into that, you'd be hard pressed to find justification for wars. You'd have for being so adamantly against gay people, and when I say that, I mean you yourself judging gay people. When you really basically all these things that the religious right, they're just like beacons. They're the torches they carry, right? Like I think for a whole lot of that, you would be hard pressed to find any justification whatsoever for that in the Bible. And that's what's so weird, is it's so like open to interpretation, and it's not even, in my opinion, practiced in the way that it's written by the vast majority of people. Because a lot of people claim Christianity, but may not have been to church or worshipped or anything for years and years and years, or something like. And that's cool. I'm not judging. I don't care. But what I'm saying is that by that same token, using that as some kind of like battering ram against people, and I don't think there's a justification for it in the Bible, is a weird thing, and it's really no different than what the Islamic people do. I mean, it's the same kind of thing of creating these weird moralities. Like, I don't know what the true beliefs of Islam are. You know what I mean? Like, I have not read the Quran. I would sound like an idiot if I was trying to tell you what it said, but it's not shocking to me. I mean, when people say there's kind of like different flavors, right? Like different denominations, these people believe this. I believe that, because it's the same thing with Christianity and everything else. So it's so open to interpretation. It's impossible to like call it one thing and that be accurate for every person. And that goes for all religions. So I don't even know where the hell I was going with that. But the point is that it's also, it's irrational is what it is. There's not a solid thing you can say that proves or disproves anything. So at the same time, everyone has to continue to talk plainly about these things. That's the only thing you can do. I'm not shitting on religion at all. If you want to do something, like, I'm 100% behind you. Do whatever you got to do. But that, freedom of religion is not freedom from criticism of your religion. And sometimes that shit's needed because stuff's getting crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. And sometimes I might be a little bit harsh in my criticisms of religion, but I've had so many experiences in my life where I've just been like, Jesus fucking Christ. I'm looking at these fucking people that I like, that I'm around, and I'm seeing the decisions they're making and the shit they're saying about people that are different than them, and I'm like, you're a fucking moron. You really fucking think that? Huh? You went over there and you got dunked in fucking water and you came up and now you're going to heaven and all this shit. I was baptized fucking too, I was fucking 7 years old. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I thought I was going to heaven, but there's just so much shit involved with it. Okay, let's take, like, this is one thing that you were just talking about, and it's interpretation. And it's usually when people go to church, in a typical Christian church, they wear their Sunday best, their best clothes, right? Yeah. So doesn't that put you in the same category as a Pharisee? Like, you're putting on stupid fucking expensive clothes to go worship God. It's like going against like the whole idea of it. I'm not saying you need to go in there smelling like fucking shit wearing a potato
No,
sack,
I got you. Like, and I don't know. There's lots of stuff like that because I've gone to various churches throughout my life, and I've been to some of the really big ones. And usually the message, I would say, is generally uplifting and good. Usually it's a positive message, I would say, like a positive worldview. But at the same time, when it's like a football stadium and you got like private jets in the back and stuff, I do question that, because like
Joel Osteen.
Yeah. Like I honestly do not believe, and who am I? But I don't believe that is the spirit of the text, I guess is the way to put that. Like, I don't think that's exactly what's going on in the New Testament. That's just my humble opinion.
Well, I was talking to a Christian about this who I respect, and they were basically telling me that, let's use the case of the super preachers, like the Joel Osteens and other people like that. Mm-hmm. And the justification is the reason that this guy has a private jet is because he's speaking the word of God, and God has blessed him with wealth and gifts so that he can travel the world in a timely fashion to help spread the message and all this kind of shit. And I'm like, well, I get what you're saying, but I don't think that's what's happening at all. I think that fucking people are scared and they feel guilty and they're alone and they're terrified. And they're donating to these people because they feel like this person is the answer. If I do what they say, and I pray to God every night, it doesn't matter how poor I am, how many mistakes, how many drugs I did in the past, how many people I fucked over, I can be forgiven. And then I can slowly rebuild my life. And hey, if that's what it takes, as long as you're not fucking killing people and trying to make people do crazy shit, good for you. I'm not going to tell you to not do it. But at the same time, I'm still going to openly criticize religion for what it is. It's fucking horseshit. It's good that you're taking that path to get your shit together, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to believe in something that's fucking not true to get your shit together. You can just get your shit together. Just start being a nice person. Show up to work on time. Fucking apologize to the people that you fucked over. Fucking go back to school. Join the military. Use the things that are in front of you, I don't understand this idea that God is the only way. We go to church and they get that fucking crazy look in their eye and they start fucking talking low like this. Yeah, man. You don't need all that shit, man. I don't fucking know, but everybody's not me and I don't have all the fucking answers. Maybe I'm fucking wrong. I might go to fucking hell and get fucked in the ass by fucking Satan. I don't know. But I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I think that, I don't know. What do you think happens when we die? I think it's probably just like nothingness, but who knows? I
don't know, man. I would say that, I would not know even how to just begin to describe like where I'm at with all that right now. Cause I'm very much in a, point of flux in my life. Like with that, you know what I mean? Like I would say today, if you were to ask me, I am a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a deist. Like I believe there is some sort of something. Now whether or not which one is correct, that would be far be it for me to be able to come out with something like that. So, to be honest, I don't know is the answer. Yeah, I don't even want to get into that because I don't even know where I stand on it today. So, yeah, it would be hard for me to describe it. I would say that I'll take that back. If I had to describe myself today, I would say that I remain a Christian. If I had to say it today. Now, I have a lot of questions. Let's say that right. Around a lot of that, and it's most of mine are kind of what's a good word for like a thought experiments with it. Like I struggle a lot with the way that life is for people in other parts of the world, undeveloped parts of the world, and things like that, and this idea of all humans are equal in love. You know what I mean? I guess things like when people have not even heard or read the Bible or don't have access to the Bible. I mean, I get the point of missionaries and all that. I get that. But, there's nothing clear in the text about any of these situations. There's tons of speculation on it. But, I believe if you take it at its word that, there's nothing to describe all that. So I don't know, man. I don't even want to get into it too far, but yeah, let's just say that I'm still thinking about that often.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Yeah.
I think about that shit all the time, about what happens when I die. And the truth is no one can ever know, at least for now. No one can know except for the people who come back to life and they went to hell or they went to heaven. It's like three main stories. They went to hell, they went to heaven, or they just saw nothingness, like blackness. They don't remember shit because it was just nothing. You hear that?
Yeah, loud siren outside. Probably picked it up.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. What I can tell you is I don't believe any of the heaven stories, because if you look at the Bible, no one gets to go to heaven until Judgment Day. You have to be judged first to get in there. So if you're saying that you went to heaven, then you're basically saying you're like a fucking prophet. But if I remember the New Testament correctly, that doesn't happen. It's nothing. No one else goes to heaven until Judgment Day. There are no more fucking prophets or any shit like that, right?
Yeah, I guess. Well, so, yeah, I think so. Something I've struggled with is, I guess and I guess I'm like anybody else though. My interpretation of the text, I think, is very different than most mainstream religion. I take it much more at a more, I would say, more of a fundamentalist way, because I think that's the only way to view it, is without a lot of like, for instance, if someone has an idea and the basis for that idea is not based in the Bible, like, I pretty much throw that in the trash immediately. Like, because that tells me it's a tradition. It's not something that came from the text. You know what I mean? So,
basically all of Catholicism, pretty much.
Yeah, from my perspective, that's probably fair. Yeah. I mean, at the same time, who am I to say anything? But at the same time, I mean, if I just look at the Bible as it's canonized, the whole canonization of the Bible, right, is interesting in and of itself. If you've looked at all this, basically the way that the books of the Bible were selected, and things like that, there's a lot of human intervention in there. So let's just say that there's a lot of human intervention in there. So, most people would claim that human intervention was divinely inspired and things like that. So, I don't know, man. Yeah. tough subject for me, especially right now, because that's something I deeply think about a lot. And, it's a weird one. We'll probably get back to it one of these days, I'm sure.
Yeah. I guess it's not worth going in on because I usually take the negative road. I like to shit on religion as much as possible.
But I guess at the same time, I'm very open. Like, I will listen to ideas from lots of people because I feel like that's the only way you can learn. Like, I'm a huge fan of Sam Harris. I don't agree with quite a few of the things he thinks, which is okay. But, I like the way he thinks. I think Christopher Hitchens was like a beautiful mind, man. Like, the dude was
no doubt
crazy dude and wild and brilliant. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't have to agree with these people. I do like to hear all the viewpoints because I find, especially as I get older, that life is not as simple as and binary as I once thought it was. Most things are far more complicated than a general yes/no answer. And I feel like the more I learn, the more I realize that I may have had the wrong ideas about things before. So I don't know. I feel like I'm a lot more open to just hearing things out nowadays. And that, maybe that's what causes my confusion, but it also helps me to think about things, I think, more holistically and not just in like this little bubble.
Yeah. I probably could be more effective in my arguments if I didn't willingly choose to shit on religion so much. But, I don't know. Once you read so much and you I spent so much time like trying to find out, is God fucking real? Reading everything I could, watching everything I could. And the answer is nobody fucking knows. But what I know for sure at this point is that religion is fucking bullshit as far as I can tell. It's ridiculous. But that's not the best attitude to have, because whenever you come across like that, you're not going to have a great conversation with a person of religion. They're not going to, you're not going to do well with that person, right? But,
yeah.
I don't know. I think I just feel like burnout, because when I hear people talk about praise God or fucking type amen and God will give you $20,000 today. That's obviously the lowest level of stupidity when you see that shit on social media. But I don't know, man. I just, after all these years, because, we've talked about before, we grew up in a very, not a creepy Christian household, but a very Christian household. And, at the time, I've read I believe I've read the whole Bible cover to cover. I've read the New Testament, front to back at least 10 times. And we've been to Bible camps and fucking Bible study.
Yeah. I mean, I took theology classes as an adult.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, I'm certainly no expert on theology whatsoever, but I took it as a genuine interest because this is, it's like the major question of the universe, right? And being able to understand it as best you can seems important. To some extent, but I feel like the more that I try to understand about it, the less I understand about it, which is kind of weird, because this is one of those kind of counterintuitive things. It seems like the more I learn, the less I know. So yeah, it's weird, man. I have a feeling that, that's a internal journey that I'll probably be on for the rest of my life, a long time, if not the rest of my life. So I don't know. I'm sure we'll think of things to come up with that. But it's one of those things like I don't even feel like I have a solid answer right now. Like if you were to ask me like where exactly do you stand, I don't know, man. I'm kind of like in almost an analysis paralysis on religion altogether, because there's just so much going on that I'm trying to understand. And yeah, it's weird, dude. Deep subject, deep thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should just become Scientologists. Just give up. I don't know. Scientology's definitely bullshit.
Absolute bullshit.
But, yeah, fuck it. Let's close this motherfucker down. How long have we been talking for?
Well, I don't know. What are we at? Right around almost an hour 20.
Yeah, it's a long time. It's a good time of talking. We missed a week, though, so we had talked about doing a 2-hour podcast. I guess we could, or we could shut it down. I don't know. Maybe
we can call this one. And there's some stuff coming up that I want to do. Like, I think on an upcoming podcast, I don't know when we'll do it. I definitely want to talk about Venezuela and the conversation that I had with this new friend I have from there. That it was, I have to say, like, the conversation we had to me was like fascinating to hear about how other people live. And it was also probably, one of the saddest things I've heard in a lot of ways as, like everything you read in the news, I'll give you a preview. Everything you read in the news about Venezuela is absolutely true. I mean, as far as like the availability of resources and the fuckery of the government and all that. So we'll talk about that in a little more depth, in a future episode. And then, I also believe that in the next few weeks, we're going to have our first guest, a very special guest, I'll say. And, definitely looking forward to that. Anyway, you got the paper pulled up with all the fun information on that.
Yeah, let me find the shit on here.
Of course, you can always check us out, jakeandjohnshow.com. That's where the blog's at. That's where you can see we post kind of some of the extra shit about the episodes. You can catch us out on Twitter at Jake and John Show, on Facebook at Jake and John Show. John, you want to give them that voicemail number?
804-557-4691. 804-JJ Show 1 to simplify it. So if one of you cunts wants to call it and leave us a voicemail, that'd be wonderful.
All right. Yeah. So as always, we're available on all the major platforms. I think it helps a lot. You know, if you want to subscribe to the show, that helps us out a lot. Gives us an idea of kind of what's going on with it. Anyway, John, you got anything else for today?
Nope. I think I'm tapped out, man. I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Peace out.
Take it easy.